Okay, what's going on, guys? No Guides here. Welcome back to another video. And today's video we're going over the 4-2-2 custom tactics, the halfway point between a 4-4-2 and a 4-2-3-1. I know many of you guys have been telling me, Neil, I want to have the tactics earlier on this year as opposed to waiting before you do some testing. So I thought I'd release, as usual, the tactics before the first weekend to give you a bit of a try. So this is the aggressive 4-2-2. Is it a 5-1-2-2 killer? I don't think so, in my opinion. But these are the tactics. Now, this is mainly for those that like to play aggressive but still want to keep the CDMs. So the defensive style, there's two you can choose. You can choose pressure to possession loss, or you can choose pressure on heavy touch. Pressure on heavy touch is more of a balanced approach, but when there's a big chance, we know how bad heavy touches are this year, less dribbling is awful, there's a good chance you win the ball. Whereas pressure to possession losses, every single time you lose the ball, you're pressed for 7 seconds. I don't recommend choosing this after choosing this one initially. If you don't want to press at all, you can use balance. Now, for the width, we brought this down to 45. Now, the benefit is with the 4-2-2 is you have 2 CDMs anyway. It's kind of like the 4-4-2 with 2 CDMs. And that's why I say it's the halfway point, because the difference between this and a 4-2-3-1 is that Cam just becomes a striker. That's what a 4-2-2 is. That's all it is. So you do have the defensive stability compared to having 2 CTMs compared to having centre mids. So you don't need to worry too much, I think, defensively. And that's why you can get away with using a higher depth of 65, because you have those CDMs there and the defensive width. Now, don't forget, people always think the 4-2-2, they always think these two players are actually like central cams. No, think of these guys more as wingers. That's where you want to look at it. So you'll be defending in a 4-4-2 and attacking the 4-4-2. Just like a 4-2-3-1, the wide cams have very, very fast players. Then for the build-up play, I'd recommend long ball. Try long ball first and then try balance. The reason why I say long ball first, even myself, I use long ball and I think I'm very good at one trick, so at least I like to think so. But if you do find this to be too attacking, you can use balance. Now, the key one here is direct passing. It depends very much on the formation, on how I use it. But the idea is, the issue is with this formation, and generally speaking, in my opinion, with cams, we'll go over the instructions as well in a second. The cams don't have a instruction like get in behind. So what Lombard just says to all these players, don't think of it like park the bus, kick the ball out, run over the top. Lombard just says to players, I want you to make a run like getting behind does. Think of long ball like getting behind the instruction. Very, very good. Honestly, I love that build-up play. Direct passing is an interesting one. I think a lot of you like it more with the 4-2-2, especially if you bring the fullbacks forward manually and use the CDMs. You like them, for example, in the final third. I think it's really, really good as someone is parking a bus as well. Now, the width, what we've done is we brought this down to 35. Now, as I always say, contrary to belief, don't forget width. It depends on the formation, because every formation has radiuses. If you put a width of 1, your team is not going to be like this. This is the big confusion that people have. They think if you have 1 width, your team is going to be like this, and its 100 going to be like that. No, it's not that extreme. You can try that. Try 1 width and you'll see you still hold the 4-4-2 shape. So the shape of the formation never changes. For the players in the box, we have them on just 7 should I say. That's kind of my go-to. I meant corners and free kicks on 1. 7 is a really good way. What you can do is you can always put a lower one. And then what you can do is you can put, for example, your instructions on your players, for example, to get into the box for a cross if you want to. But that's what I recommend. You can do that, but I just leave it on 7 because I want the rest of the team higher up as well and getting into the box if I change. That is the tactics right over here. Now we go over to the instructions, and before I do get on this video, sponsor my Patreon series, patreon.com/Neil Guides. Link is down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is, of course, the Neil Guides guarantee. But going into the instructions, so I put both of these players on stay forward and get it behind. You can get away with this because, so I normally, generally speaking, I put 1 of them on comeback and defense. And the idea is you have 1 player just behind the striker when you're defending, when you win the ball back. Now, you're going to be defending in a 4-4-2 and essentially and attacking in a 4-4-2. I will not put stay central this year because when you win the ball back, you want those players to make those runs down the wing. So think about long ball when you win the ball back. Think about this phase over here. When you win the ball back, you want these players to going into these wide areas. If you put them on stay central, they will just stay central. So you have to bear that in mind. So that's why I say leave them on balance. They always stay central anyway because they're naturally central players. But initially, they go wide. Getting behind just makes them make a run in behind. Simple as that. You can put one of the strikers and get it behind, and the striker that's more rigid or a bit more clunky, you can put him on stay forward and balance. He acts more like a target man. Now for the wide cams, come back in the fence and get into the box for Gross. As I said, these guys are wingers. I know it says wide attacking midfielders or wide cams, just ignore it. Think of them as left mids and right mids in a 4-4-2. You need pace players here. No Bruno Fernandes, no Kevin De Bruyne. You need Dembele, a Son, a Neymar, etc, etc. We've get into the box for a cross, so it pushes them. Come back in defense, because when you're defending, when you transition to a defensive phase, you want to force these guys to come back so you can defend in a 4-4-2 with 2 CDMs in the middle. Do not, under any circumstance, use free roam in my opinion. And don't use drift wide, because they're going to make those runs movements anyway. You can, to be honest, I just would leave them unbalanced. Let the game decide for you, but just don't, let the game decide, put them in the correct position themselves, and let them stay in a position. Free roam, it doesn't really help. I mean, you can maybe consider if you have 2 cams on free roam, but in my opinion, it's not worth it. Just leave them on stick position. No need to touch intercept. People saying, oh, you can try this and that. Aggressive against 5-1-2-2. I don't think it does from my testing. Both CDMs. Now, I always use cut passing lanes, cover center, stay back while attacking. Both of these guys. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to change. This will depend on your playstyle, okay? Even myself, I do not. So what I have here is I normally put like Llorente there. So the most attacking player or one of the most defensive players, one of them has to stay back. Now, what I'd recommend is if you want to, so let's say Goretzka, I want to put him, you can leave him on balanced. That is one thing you can do. If you want him to go forward every single time, you can put him on get forward. Do not use drop between defenders, because we're not going to push the left back and right back forward here. I'll explain to you in a second. Just leave them on stay back. If you want to make one of them more attacking, leave them on balanced or get forward. Now, people say deep line playmaker. To be honest, I've not done too much testing with the 4-2-2 admittedly in this system. But to be honest, it's not a bad option, because you have 2 CDMs anyway. So you can get away with using one of them as a deep line playmaker. You may actually prefer that. For them to basically, when you have the space and time, they'll find themselves in better positions to pass the ball. So you can try one of those on a deep line playmaker as well. Just don't leave the guy on stay back on the deep line playmaker in my opinion. But both of them on the cover center as well. No need to touch this. Now, this is even more important. Okay, so let's just say, hypothetically speaking, inside the game, I'm going to rearrange this very, very quickly. 1 second. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're inside the game. Okay. Now, what you need to remember is that this is how the 4-4-2 actually lays out. It's basically the same as a 4-2-2. So what you want to do is, because we replace this with here, let me pick you back to the 4-2-2. 1 second. The left back and right back. So in this situation, I have normally it's like this. And let's say we go to the 4-2-2, and don't forget the 4-4-2 and 4-2-2. Just think of them like the same formation, guys. Yeah, don't think of anything different. What I will do is, I would say you need here fast players. So what I will do is something like this, and what I'll do is left backs and right backs, I put them on stay back and overlap. This is the most important thing. Now, people always ask me, does overlap mean they go forward? It doesn't. Overlap just says to the game, okay, let's say I do a 1-2 with Walker. You want Walker to run on the outside. You never want him to run, because if he runs on the inside, then Dembele gets pushed outwards. You wouldn't want Dembele down the wing next to the corner flag and Walker basically played towards the edge of the box on the right hand side. You wouldn't want that. You want that the other way around. So that's just saying, if they do make a run, then they'll make a run on the outside. That's what overlap means. Now, is it worth putting these players on join the attack? In my opinion, no. What I would say is, you want to get the ball with these players and you want to force yourself to do a 1-2. And then if you want to, then you can bring them forward into the attack. And that is where direct passing will really come into check. So if you're using direct passing, for example, like over here, if you can do a 1-2, push that left back going forward and then pass the ball inside the box where you have your 2 strikers and maybe potentially your right attacking mid, then it becomes a very, very good way of going forward. So that's why I'd say just leave these guys on stay back. Don't put them on join the attacker leader unbalanced, you want to trigger those manually yourself. But that is the 4-2-2 tactics. Again, as I said, I'll try. I know people are asking, can you release the 4-3-2-1? I'll try my absolute best to get that done before the weekend league. The 4-2-3-1 though, I still got to do a bit more testing to decide what's the exact thing that I want to release, because that's a big video, because that's the one where everyone, I don't want to get that wrong, if that makes sense. So just, I know people are saying 4-2-3-1, you see me use it on stream or whatever, just give me some time. That's what I wanted to say. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget you can subscribe to my Patreon series, patreon.com/nilguys. Link is down below in the description, or I believe you can actually click right over here and you can join my Patreon series. You don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is of course the Nil Guides guarantee, because that's how sure we are running this over 4 years with of course thousands of clients. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, take it easy, and of course I'll catch you next time. Peace out.